I'm glad to speak to you again. I'm here today to talk to you about how to profit. How to profit from the coming inflationary boom, which just happens to be the title of my new book. You know, inflation has a bad reputation, but inflation can be our friend. After all, that's what Congress, that's what the Fed, that's what the Treasury, that's what Wall Street wants, is asset inflation. And we're going to get it, in my opinion, big time, and I want you to profit from this. But first, I'd like to go back and take a look, a macro view of what's gone on and what's happened and how we got to this place that we're in right now. And what's happened in America, of course, there's been a coup d'etat, a coup where there's been a transfer of power. Fortunately, it's been a bloodless one. We've all heard the term progressivism. That's been around a long time, but most people aren't familiar with it. Progressivism and progressives are a code word for socialists and liberals. And also there's a radical part of this component, which of course are the Marxists. So what's happened here? In fact, in my book, I've come up with a neologism. And that neologism is the merger of capitalism and communism, which I term copulativism. That means merger, you know. But MOTU is my abbreviation for the Masters of the Universe. These are folks like Alan Greenspan, former chairman, Fed chairman, and Robert Rubin, who was at Citicorp, and even our recent Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson when he was at Goldman Sachs, which I named affectionately. But guys like Angelo Mozilla at Countrywide, and even Franklin Raines at Fannie Mae, who cooked the books and took enormous bonuses, committed massive fraud, and now the taxpayers are paying him $1.5 million a year in his retirement. No recourse whatsoever. It's just amazing what's happened. But what happened is these masters of the universe abused their position and their power in search of greed. That's what they did. And of course, we're all paying the price. The capitalists and the capitalism became bad. It became the bad guys. And of course, the change that Obama advocated was to throw the bums out. 150 years ago or so, Adam Smith wrote several books, one of them Wealth of Nations, which he defined capitalism for the first time. And really what he said there was that the capitalists in search of profit had an obligation to society, to business, and this trickle-down theory. Remember the invisible hand that must be extended to small business and the working man and so forth for it to succeed. He also wrote another book called The Theory of Moral Sentiments, in which he said that the capitalism had to create a customer's margin, which again is the trickle down. In other words, taking care of the people as they search for profit. Well, what's happened with the Masters of the Universe is that they violated this basic philosophy and tenet of Adam Smith's, because what they did is they abused their privilege and violated this trust. You know, progressivism has been around a long time. In 1900, Teddy Roosevelt came to power because of the business trusts and so forth that dominated and controlled everything. And of course, the New Deal in 1929, early 1930s was a reaction to the capitalism and the abuse of capitalism in the 20s. But now we've got the Robin Hood plan, which is a redistribution of wealth. And I simply pose the question, was this strategy that was employed by the Masters of the Universe, was that deliberate? Is there a design to replace our monetary system and a new global financial order, or a global monetary authority, whatever you want to call it, a new currency? There's all kinds of things going. I'll let you read the book and you can decide on your own. But here's where I differ, and here's the point I really want to make, is that I see the stimulus plan, the TARP, the TELF, the PPIP, and all of these, the monetization by the Federal Reserve, as inflating assets and inflating the economy. And during this 1, 2, or 3 year window, we have an opportunity to restore the wealth that we've lost, because we're going to need it going forward. Now, ultimately, this is going to lead to disaster, of course. Though be absolutely certain in my talk with you today that these progressives and the Marxists, they will create enormous loss. The economy will fold, and they will destroy themselves. We have to be patient and vigilant. In the next 2 years, though, Obama's going to be a rock star, and that's when we realize the gains. What I see is that the capitalists will be called back to salvage, to restore order, prevent the chaos, and restore freedom in this country. It's going to take time for that to happen. But you have an obligation to yourself and to your family to educate yourself on what's going on and the opportunities that are available. Cash will be trash over the next 2 or 3 years, but when the crack-up boom occurs down the road, cash again will be king. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go and sign on to my blog so that you get all of my current information and updates, and you'll be able to purchase my book, How to Profit from the Coming Inflationary Boom. Thank you, and I'll talk to you again soon.